Tottenham once again win at the death, coming back from 1-0 down to win 2-1 today against Brighton Hove Albion. Welcome into Top of the Perch. I'm your host, as always, Nick Burt. It was a very, very, very interesting game, to say the least, because although the scoreline says 2-1 Tottenham victory, this game probably shouldn't have went that way, but it did. And you know what? We are not complaining at all. Tottenham walk away with the full 3 points against a very feisty Brighton team that did not have their manager Roberto De Zerbi today because he was back in Italy having dental surgery. So going up against the technical staff of Brighton instead of De Zerbi himself, it was bound to be an interesting game nonetheless. And honestly, it started that way right from the get-go. I mean, it was not even 30 seconds in the game. It was Vicario called into action to make just an outstanding save to keep this game 0-0 in the first minute of the game. Van de Ven tripped over himself round the halfway line, allowed Danny Welbeck to go down. I think he ended up taking the shot, but it was Vicario that knocked it away, making sure that it was still a 0-0 game, only 1 minute into the game. Game it was just a mess, the whole first 15. Nobody really controlling possession. It kept going back and forth. Both teams kept trying to get options, just fell apart, kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. 16th minute, Brighton go down the field. It was, I believe, Pascal Grob going to, I believe it was Welbeck again. A dumb foul by Van de Ven to try to get the ball, but he trips him, goes down in the box. It's a penalty. It would be Pascal Grob going for the penalty shot, and he puts it in the back of the net. It is 1-0 Brighton after 17 minutes. It was a dumb penalty. It was a penalty nonetheless. It was a dumb penalty by Van de Ven. It's a challenge you shouldn't be making in the box because even the slightest of contact on the leg, he's going to go down and it's going to be a penalty. And there was more than a little bit of contact there, but it's still, it ends up being a penalty. It ends up being 1-0, and Tottenham, only 17 minutes into this game, they're already down 1-0 chasing a goal. So the real question would be now, how is Tottenham going to progress? You know, what tactical changes are they going to make? It wasn't much. They just kept playing their own football, and at some points it was interesting. It kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But it was Tottenham kind of getting the bulk of the chances the rest of the first half, and they didn't really make much of it, if we're honest. I know it was after the penalty, so right around the 20th minute, Bentancur played it to Richarlison. Richarlison just shoots it wide. I think he was one-on-one. And that's just a goal you have to finish when you're one-on-one with the keeper. Wasn't great. We had then Brighton getting another opportunity. That one was blocked by Sarr. Great defensive play from Sarr, who had an outstanding game today. His first full game back from the African Cup of Nations. You can tell how much this team dearly missed him while he was gone. I believe right around the 30th minute, Tottenham had another opportunity. This one, I believe, was to Bentancur, just wide again. Bentancur turned over the ball, which led to Mitamoa on Brighton getting the ball. He shoots it wide of Vicario. We still stay at 1-0. And there was just a story of the first half. It was either good save, good block, bad foul, good save, good block, bad foul, any of that. Really just recaps the whole first half, because we went into the halftime break as a 1-0 deficit for Tottenham. And although it felt like they had the better chances in the first half, they had nothing to show for it, because they weren't being clinical and just skilled getting the ball in the back of the net. So obviously a lot of changes would need to be made in that second half to make sure that Tottenham walked away with the 3 points in this one. And it kind of developed from there. I guess I would say. Come out of the locker room. I believe it was 47th, 48th minute. It was a few minutes into the second half. It was Madison who earns a free kick. The free kick is taken by Porro. Kind of just shoots it right at Jason Steele, the goalkeeper. We're still at 1-0. It wouldn't be until the 61st minute when it was a stunning goal from Popsar. It was, I believe, Kulusevski going down the field. He takes a shot. Believe it was blocked. It ends up with Sarr, who has a wide open net in front of him, puts it in the back of the net, makes sure there's no mistake about it. It is 1-1, and all of a sudden, Tottenham kind of feel the momentum shifting their way. Can we get a second? Can we get that second goal that is going to hopefully get us 3 points in this game? Can we lock down defensively to make sure this doesn't get to 2-1 the opposing side? So now we have to chase 2 goals to get that 3 points. And there was some of that. There's some of that wasn't. Postecoglou made a 3-player change basically right after that goal in the 62nd minute. One of them was bringing on Heung-min's son, his re-debut for the season after he was away for the Asian Cup, where South Korea lost to Jordan on Tuesday or Wednesday, one of the two. It was, I feel bad for Son. I feel like this was his best opportunity at winning an international trophy, because I don't think 26 is going to happen, just because it's a World Cup and we're looking at the next Asian Games in 2028. That's kind of a long ways away. So I thought that was his best opportunity. Jurgen Klinsmann once again proves he's claims to be a football manager. I don't think he is. I think he's something else. But Son back. He's going to get a 30-ish minutes of play. He subbed on for, I believe it was Bentancur, it was Timo Werner. Son came on for Werner. Johnson came on for Bentancur, and Bissouma making his re-debut from the African Cup of Nations, where he contracted malaria at that African Cup of Nations. He is thankfully all back healthy. He came on for Dejan Kulusevski. So Tottenham add a little bit of attacking prowess into this team. He did take off Bentancur, who another not great game in the midfield from him. It's starting to get a little bit worrying, but it was going to be 30 minutes. Can we get that second goal? Can we come away with 3 points? And can we lock down defensively? And lockdown defensively part, not so much. It was kind of falling apart there a little bit. It seemed like Brighton were starting to get opportunity after opportunity, and it started to get a little worrying because it looked like Brighton were going to get a second goal and go up 2-1. It thankfully didn't come. There was substitution, I believe, in the 82nd minute. Postecoglou used up the other 2 subs, taking off Sarr and Udogie for Davies and Højbjerg. Originally, it was supposed to be Højbjerg and Skip. And if they brought those 2 on, we are losing this game. because that midfield's going to disintegrate. He brings on Ben Davies instead, kind of settled the waters a little bit, I would say, even though it is what it is, And then we get into stoppage time. I believe it was 7 minutes, 8 minutes, somewhere around there was the added on stoppages. Tottenham weren't getting a ton of opportunities in stoppage time, so it felt like we were just going for a 1-1 draw. It is what it is. And then, that little last whiff of Ange ball just hits, and it just turns into perfection. It was Maddison slides it to Richarlison, who's going down the field, picks up Son, who's on an overlap. Son crosses it to Johnson. Johnson puts it in the back of the net. It is 2-1 Tottenham in the 96th minute, and Tottenham Hotspur Stadium going crazy. Tottenham, basically the last kick of the game. There were a few kicks after it, but it was basically the last kick. And it was, like I said, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful goal. What a assist from Son. That's a way to make a statement coming back to this team. Wow. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, once again, rocking last-minute goal as Tottenham walk away with the 2-1 victory in this one. So let's take a look at the stats. No team truly possession-wise took away a lot of this game. It was pretty evenly split, 52-48 in advantage of Tottenham. Tottenham did have the more shots in the game, though, 16-6, which it felt like that at points, and other points it didn't. It felt like Brighton were getting a lot more shots than 6, but Tottenham get 16. 6 of them were on target, so I mean it's better, but not really. I don't know. It was 3 shots on target total for Brighton. Shots in the box, it was a 10-6 split for Tottenham, 10 in, 6 out. For Brighton, it was a 5-1 split, 5 in, 1 out. So although it felt like Brighton took a lot more shots in this game, they truly didn't have a ton of opportunities that they usually do, which has to be big credit to that back line, making sure there weren't a lot more shots in this game, because it could have got nasty. It could have got real nasty. Expected goals, Tottenham 1.60 compared to Brighton's 1.21. So kind of where you would expect it for a 2-1 game. Also not really where you would expect it if it's a 16-6 shot differential and a 6-3 shots on goal differential. You'd expect a little bit more of a gap, but that's not what we got here. Passes, Tottenham set at 527 compared to Brighton's 475. 85 of the passes were accurate for Tottenham, 83% for Brighton. Fouls, it got a little chippy. It was a 14-13 split. Tottenham had just the one more compared to Brighton. But it was Brighton having the more yellow cards in this game, as they had 3 compared to Tottenham's 2. Finally, corners. Tottenham had 9. A lot of them in the first half. It just kind of felt like, hey, here we go. Corner, bang, corner, bang, corner, bang. So it was a 9-6 split there. So, as always, since we have now recapped the game, taken a look at the stats, it is time to go to the scorebook. Time to look at those player ratings. As always, starting on the top, Richarlison earns a 7.4. He had his moments, but he also had his moments, which obviously never great, but he did more good than harm, I should say, for this game. He earns a 7.4. It was just one of those games, basically. Timo Werner, he got subbed off in that 62nd minute that three-player swap. He earns a 7.1. Just wasn't getting a lot of touches today. I don't really know. Our next game is next weekend at home against Wolves. I don't know if Timo will be in the starting 11 for that game because you got Son back, so Son's going to have to make way for somebody. I don't know if you take Richarlison off yet. I guess an argument technically could be made about Kulusevski, but it feels like Kulusevski and Johnson kind of have been switching back and forth. But this is what you want. These are good problems to have. You want to have good talent on the bench, so if things are going wrong, you can make a good sub, bring on good legs, and hopefully go from there. Obviously, that's more of a conversation to get into for next week, but Timo earns a 7.1 today just because he wasn't getting a ton of touches on the ball. Dejan Kulusevski earns a 6.9. It wasn't a great day from him. He had a few opportunities where he was in the box, probably had a good shot on net. Not saying it would have ended up a goal, but it was a good shot nonetheless. And kind of just squandered it all those times. He either tried passing it or the shot would just not be good. So he earns a 6.9 in this one. He was another one, part of that three-player swap in the 62nd minute. James Maddison earns a 7.3. He was a difference maker out there today. You just didn't see that full impact, just mostly because of the type of football that Brighton play, that nice, press attack. You weren't going to see a lot of Maddison today. It just felt like that. We didn't see him in December. He was still out with the injury at that point. So this was the first time he was facing Brighton this season. So this was kind of a little bit expected, at least for me. I kind of expected a little bit of a downer performance from him today. Rodrigo Bentancur earns a 6.8. Like I kind of said, it's another game where he hasn't looked great, and that's kind of getting a little bit worrying. Obviously, coming back from an ACL injury, you're not going to be back to what you used to be. But you can try your best to get as close to that. So I don't know if it's that, if he's just still trying to find that line to where he can go to before crossing it and going too far and possibly re-injuring it. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I shouldn't be talking about injuries. But Bentancur earns a 6.8. It just kind of feels like Brighton kind of just took him over today. That's honestly how it looked. Pop Sarr earns an 8.5. He got the goal to tie up the game. He earns the man of the match because what a performance from him today. He was carrying this midfield. He looked so great out there. What a player. What a player. I am so glad that he is on this team for the foreseeable future, and he's still so young. He's still got so much more to develop. He's going to be one of the great Tottenham midfielders of all time, I feel. Only looking up from here. He is our star boy, or Sar boy, if you want to say. He is, what a player. What a player. Destiny Udogie earns a 7.5. He was a part of the two-player switch in the 82nd minute, or 80th minute, somewhere around there. He earns a 7.5. Pretty good performance from him today. I know he's had a few off performances the past few weeks. Kind of gets back today. We're progressing. Van de Ven earns a 7.8. Although he gave away the penalty, he almost gave away a goal in the first minute. He still had a very good performance today. He is... It's so hard to say this because there's so many players. I think he was the best signing of the summer. I know Madison's in there. But... just the way he plays, he's so great. Earns a 7.8. Christian Romero earns a 7.4. I'm assuming this is probably his last game, hopefully for a while as captain. Just hopefully because, we have Son playing all the games. I thought it was a good game from him. He earns a 7.4. Pedro Porro, just another one of his masterclass performances. He earns an 8.2. We were obviously close to giving him man of the match, but earns the 8.2. Great performance from him on that right wing today. Looking at our subs, Brendan Johnson got that game-winning goal in the 96th minute. Earns a 7.6. He had a pretty good performance, I would say, for getting that goal. I know there were other moments where he didn't look as great, but Tottenham got the win, and he's the reason why it happened. So he earns a 7.6. Son earns a 7.2. His return to the Tottenham squad gets the assist on that Brendan Johnson goal. He made sure Tottenham were going to come away with 3 points in this game, and he did that. Earns a 7.2. Bissouma, the last one of that 62-minute triple change, earns a 6.6. It was a coming back performance. It wasn't anything outstanding, but a good performance nonetheless. Højbjerg comes on in the 80th minute, earns 6.3 just because it was such a small time frame. You're not doing a ton out there. You're just making sure we don't lose it. Same with Davies, who earns 6.3, kind of the same reason. Postecoglou earns a 7. Thought the subs, at least the 80th minute subs, I think could have came a tad bit earlier. I don't want to be in his situation next week, finding who to drop for Son, because I don't want to do that. Still, earns a 7. I question some of the subs, but I'm not the manager. I'm not the one that should be being questioned about that. So, given that is your player recap for this match week 24, I believe we're at, of the Premier League season. It is flying by. Closer and closer we get. That season's going to be over sooner than we know it. So, like I said, next Saturday, it is Tottenham once again at home. They're playing against Wolves. A game where they lost at the death at the Molineux in the reverse fixture. I believe that was in November, maybe October, somewhere around there. But Tottenham looking to get another 3 points as they look to stay in that top 4 hunt. The 3 points was massive for that today, and they very much needed it. So that is going to wrap it up for this recap of Tottenham Brighton. If you just stumbled across this video, you're a Tottenham fan, not a Tottenham fan, want to see Tottenham fans happy, want to see Tottenham fans disappointed, thank you so much for watching. Make sure, if you really enjoyed it, click subscribe, because we're going through the rest of the season. Could get a lot worse, could get a lot better. But if you like the video, click like, click subscribe, tell anybody you know about it. Thank you so much for watching, and we will be back once again on our Saturday for another episode of Top of the Perch.